What's up everyone, it's your FPL Thinking Cap Benji and I'm back with another episode of Best FPL Captain. Last game week I changed my best cap from Haaland to Salah before the deadline because we got some new information from press conferences. But this week City and Liverpool play each other. Is it time to back against Mo? Let's find out. Thinking Cap activated. Another game week and another perfect rankings. On Friday, we got news from Pep that Kovacic was going to be out for a couple of weeks, and after hearing that, I couldn't keep Haaland at number 1, so I switched Salah to first place. Haaland moved down to second. That was a great decision. I posted this on all of my social platforms before the deadline, so you can obviously see the date and time on that one. I did my best to get it out to you guys before and as soon as I could, so I hope you did see it. I say this in every single video. Please make sure you guys are following at least one social platform. It helps me, but it also helps you because this is not going to be the last time that we get important info that changes my results. So if you want to access that going forward, make sure you find one of those socials, give it a follow. It's down in the link in the description below. Let's move into the Gameweek 13 shortlist, and Heung-min Son grabs a spot with a Sunday fixture at home to Fulham. Both Salah and Palmer also feature on Sunday, and Bukayo Saka is the only Saturday captaincy option. He'll play away to West Ham this weekend. Taking a look at rest plus expected minutes, and it's Palmer who will have the most rest days with 8. He's going to have 8 rest days before Game Week 13. Seems a little bit overpowered. He's got the best X minutes as well with 90 projected. Mo Salah is also predicted to play the same amount against City. He didn't travel this week, but he did miss a pen and he blanked against Real Madrid. Son has a home Europa League fixture on Thursday. I'm recording this on the Wednesday, so I don't actually know if Son's going to start in Europa. If he did start, then I'd stick with my current prediction of 75 minutes. If he doesn't start, then I'd bump him up to 80. Either way, Son will have the worst minutes projections, but Saka isn't far off. He played the full 90 minutes away to Sporting and walked away with a goal and an assist. But it's only 4 days recovery for Saka before West Ham, so I do think there is a risk of an early sub. The good thing is that West Ham is in London, so there's no additional travel fatigue, and that's why I'm expecting him to get to the 80th minute mark. Any more than that, and I'd be surprised. After analysing all 4 defences, I do believe that West Ham are the most targetable fixture. They've conceded the most goals per game out of all 4, and they've got the worst XGC average. West Ham seem to also have a zonal weakness on the right flank, obviously where Bukayo Saka will play, conceding 58 chances down that wing, so it does look good from a matchups perspective. There's a chance Lopetegui starts Wan-Bissaka at left back, which does impact Saka's potential, but as a United fan, I'd still back Saka to get the better of him with Odegaard available to create 2v1 situations down that side. The other 3 teams are on a similar level defensively, but I do think Aston Villa are the next best fixture. Villa have let in 1.6 goals per game so far, which is the exact same as West Ham. They've also conceded 41 chances from the right flank. Obviously, Palmer likes to operate in the central right pocket, but there's no guarantee that Maresca plays him there. He could utilize Palmer on the left-hand side instead. Onana is also injured for Villa, so I do expect them to concede a higher volume of central chances than usual. Fulham are interesting because if Joachim Andersen is injured for that game, it does definitely boost Son's prospects, but Fulham have impressed defensively, at least for me. I know they just leaked 4 at home to Wolves, but they are averaging 1.2 XGC per game and 1.4 goals conceded per game, which is one of the reasons why they're having such a good season. They've also conceded the least big chances out of all 4, only 1.6 per match, and I do think they are a solid defense. Man City have defended poorly this season, but I do think Pep and the whole squad will be up for the Liverpool game. Konate also hobbled off against Madrid, and it didn't look good at all, so I don't expect that game to be a walk in the park for a Mo Salah. It's also important for me to mention that City's strongest defensive zone is the right flank where Salah plays. They've only conceded 20 chances down that right-hand side, so matchup-wise, Salah actually doesn't have any advantage over the other 3. Let's explore the historical trends for Game Week 13, and Palmer doesn't have any historical bias towards the Aston Villa fixture. He's never started against them at home, but he did start against them away from home in double Game Week 34 last season where he got 2 points. Salah has the strongest historical bias towards his upcoming opponent. He's started 6 times versus Man City at home, and he's returned 7 GA. He only blanked once in this fixture ever. Son has 2 goal involvements in 3 starts at home to Fulham. In his most recent game, he returned 14 points, but he blanked in the other 2. Saka returned 15 points away to West Ham last season. He missed a pen and got 0 points in 2023, so his record is a little bit mixed, but generally, Saka has a pretty good return rate against London teams. Okay, so moving into the kickoff stats, let's begin with a game day comparison. Salah has the best set of data for Game Week 13. He ranks first in average points per start. He also ranks first in form over the last 5, and he's been the most explosive asset. His double-digit haul rate sits at joint first, with Son at 30%. Palmer is the most consistent one. He's blanked in just 20% of Sunday starts at home. His return rate is also pretty decent, averaging 0.8 returns per start at this kickoff, so he does look pretty secure for 1 return. His explosive potential actually doesn't look that amazing. His haul rate's only 10%. That's the lowest on this list. Both him and Son are on a 6-point average for their upcoming game days, but I do think Palmer shows more game day bias because his form is a little stronger. Sonny does offer some explosive potential. He's got a good haul rate percentage, but he's only scored 1 goal in the last 5 Sunday home starts, which isn't that great. I do think an uptick in his Sunday data set is on the way. I'm just not sure if it's going to come this week because I do rate Fulham's defense and Son isn't likely to play 90 minutes in the game. Saka looks like he has the worst data set, but don't sleep on him because form is one of the most important factors in captaincy, and Saka has the second best form on the shortlist. In his last 5 Saturday away starts, he's blanked just 2 times. He's also returned 2 double-digit hauls, so he has delivered at this kickoff in the past. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the game time data, and Palmer, he has serious positive bias towards his upcoming kickoff time. He's never blanked in a home game at this time, but he hasn't been the most explosive in those ones. Only a 17% double-digit haul rate. That doesn't scream a Palmer 20 bomb, but the best captain might not be a Palmer 20 bomb. It could be a Palmer 8-pointer, and Palmer's data set does suggest he could comfortably achieve that this weekend. If we compare Son's data to Salah's, the main difference is the blank rate. Son's is 10% worse, but apart from that and Son's bad form, they look to offer similar potential. Return rates are very close, same with the haul rate, so I do think Son is a decent cap this weekend if you like the fixture, but for me, Son is in mediocre form, not kickoff form, but overall form across all comps. And if you've got a player with a large blank rate and mediocre overall form, it does make it hard to back them with captaincy. Saka is actually the opposite of that. His game time stats aren't impressive at all, but he's in red hot form right now. I am definitely willing to overlook some of the shitty numbers with Saka because my eye test and my gut sense is telling me not to ignore Saka this game week because of how impressed I've been by watching him. I was digging around his points history and I found something very interesting. And it was that Saka has never blanked an away 5:30 p.m. game against a London team. He's never blanked, he's returned in every single one. And considering how bad his data set is, I do think that that London team stat is a genuine factor to keep in mind as we head into the rankings. So game week 13 captaincy. It was really tough this week, guys. Really tough. You guys have no idea. But I'm pretty happy looking at my rankings for the weekend. As you know, make sure you follow, some of the socials down below in case there are any late changes. But let's get into the final rankings. And first, we'll start off with the wildcard captain. The wildcard captain has not been performing very well at all recently, but it does go through hot spells and dry spells. The same happened to me for the majority of the season when I was looking at the wildcard captain history. Sometimes you get good points, sometimes you get bad points. But somebody who has a serious chance in stopping this dry spell is Heung-min Son. Obviously, you're getting prime time differential gain potential with Heung-min Son, only 6.3% owned in the game right now, and a Fulham with potentially no Anderson is actually pretty tasty. If I own Son, I think I would actually genuinely consider it because he's the premium nobody's got right now in a solid home fixture where Son hasn't traveled in the midweek. Spurs have a lot of games, so I don't think the minutes will ever be good with Son this season, but an informed Son only needs 75 minutes for 2 returns. And I do think he has that explosiveness to his data. His double-digit haul rate was top 2 in both game day and game time analysis, but his blank rates were suboptimal as well. And we haven't seen that streaky in-form Son this season apart from probably the Everton game where he bagged a brace. So I don't think he's in the best form right now. And without the form and without the minutes, he doesn't go higher than the wildcard spot for me. In third place, we have Mo Salah. And look, I know what you're going to say. He's so hot right now. He's doing so well. Why isn't he there? I am impacted by that penalty miss against Madrid. I do think it's a factor. I know I saw the interview that he did after the Southampton game about his contract and all this. It has me sitting a little bit uneasy, to tell you the truth. Look, he has a good historical record against City. I'm not denying that. My problem is City have been very strong from the right zone of their defense, which is where Salah's going to play. Salah's got good kickoff stats. I know, but at some point, he has to have a downtick in his data, and I'm expecting that to happen against Man City. I don't think the fixture is easy. I seriously think they're going to have, obviously, some good players back. I think Diaz might be back. Ake, I think, is back as well. Gvardiol is available, so their defensive line, at least, is going to be stronger than what they've put up, and they're not just going to go there and pull their pants down for Liverpool. I really don't think that. So I do think that Pep will take this game very seriously. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but I don't have a good feeling about Salah this week, and therefore he gets the third spot. Now, my best captain for Game Week 13 is Bukayo Saka, which puts Cole Palmer in second place. Look, Palmer, my problem is the form, right? You're captaining off 3 blanks. It just doesn't feel very good. I know he's got good kickoff stats, but I'm not that sure about it. I think Villa are pretty good defensively, and the fact that I do expect Villa to score, you're not getting the clean sheet point, so automatically he has a low ceiling. That's the same with Mo Salah, right? Like, whereas if you compare that to Bukayo Saka, I think there's a very high potential that they do keep a clean sheet against West Ham, and that's what the betting spreadsheets and the odds are saying too, and therefore Saka has a higher floor. He's also got a higher ceiling, potentially with a clean sheet potential point, whereas Palmer, I just think, what are you realistically expecting from that home game? I just think that there's a potential he does blank again in this form, and I just don't really want a piece of it. Like, he looks pretty good for 1 return, I'd say, but even then, I do think it's still risky, and I do think he has a better chance of 1 return than Salah this week. I prefer Palmer to Salah, but not to Bukayo Saka. Arsenal looking very, very good right now. Very good with a 6-1, 5-1 win to Sporting. And the primetime matchup, that's what you're getting with Saka. I mean, you're getting Emerson, dude. He started 12 out of 12 in the league. I don't think he's going to start Wan-Bissaka there, and even if he does start Wan-Bissaka there at Lopetegui, I still think it's good for Saka. I mean, I know Wan-Bissaka, if you guys remember Liverpool at home last season for Manchester United, Wan-Bissaka gave away the pen for a silly challenge on, I think it was Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones. Mo Salah gets the pen. So I honestly think that he's not that big of a threat, especially with Odegaard there. He's prone to mistakes from left back as well. So I don't think it's too big of an issue. And, Saka, with that London team stat and the really good form, I just think everything is aligned for Bukayo Saka captain. That's where I'm going. I know it's the risky play, but I've got a good feeling about Saka. The little things that I dig into in my personal time that I don't include in the video also point to that as well. I'm going with him. Let me know who you're going with down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this one, then drop a like. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Peace.